This week's young hero is driven to help others in any way she can. Like so many of our heroes, she's overcome major challenges, but has used those hardships as inspiration and motivation. Meet our next young hero, Morgan Daigle.
I wouldn't be where I am today without my support system. My mom was my biggest supporter.
17-year-old Morgan Daigle credits her mother Melissa for her servant's heart. Melissa was an active member of the Clifton community and an even bigger influence at Morgan's school, Northwood High School.
She was amazing. I like to use the phrase altruistic personality. It's basically you're devoted to the welfare of others. And she just loved helping others. She was a genuine person. She never met a stranger.
Melissa's generous spirit was contagious, and Morgan would eventually follow suit.
If somebody called and needed help, my mom was one of the first ones to go. And I think that's why Morgan is the way she is, because she sees that.
Their mom's actions forever impacted the way Morgan and her sister approached community service. Her lessons were so strong, they lasted even after she passed in 2023. Melissa was diagnosed with stage 4 cancer in 2022 after an initial misdiagnosis. The news was devastating for Morgan and her family.
It was a really hard experience, but my mother was such a strong person. She experienced so much loss in her life, but just knowing her, you could never tell that she had been through as much as she had went through.
Caitlin Jofrion, Morgan's teacher, kept a close eye on her as she processed her mother's death.
How did Morgan respond to that? How was she like in class afterward?
Honestly, while everything was happening, there wasn't much of a change, which that just speaks to how Morgan is. Like, she very rarely shows stress. And I know with as many projects as she has going, she has to feel stress, she has to feel tension. But like, she just has this motto, like, we're gonna take it one day at a time and we're gonna figure it out. And in the end, it's all gonna work out the way it's supposed to work out.
Morgan used projects to work through her grief. As a member of Northwood High School's Youth Volunteer Corps, she was already a leader in her community. But Morgan and the teacher saw her mother's passing as another opportunity for altruism.
We were just looking for activities to do. We were growing our programs. And so I was like, Morgan, how do you feel if we do chemo bags?
The two settled on the chemo bag drive, a fundraiser to supply cancer patients with essentials while they undergo chemotherapy.
The idea of the chemo bags came up. I just thought it was the most amazing thing ever. Just the sense of being able to give back in my mother's honor.
Morgan organized groups of students to donate more than 120 bags to the Cabrini Cancer Center. And that's just the surface of her community service. In addition to her annual chemo bag drive, the high school junior promotes literacy to younger kids at her school.
We do different things where we read to little ones, and on my free time when I have time, I'll go and read to different teachers' class because we are a K-12 school.
She's been class president for the past 3 years of high school, and she regularly volunteers at the Clifton Choctaw Tribe Community Center. But of all of her accomplishments, her sister Chancey says she's the proudest of Morgan's resilience.
It's hard to find people that can relate with her losing a parent at such a young age. Our mom held our family together, and I'm just proud at how well Morgan is doing when it comes to that she is still seeing the rainbow on the other side of the storm.
Morgan hasn't decided what the future holds yet. It's still a work in progress. But whatever she does, she hopes to continue her mother's legacy of community and service.
It is so inspiring to see how Morgan is carrying on the legacy of her mom, Melissa.
Yeah, and I can't wait to see the things she'll do in the future.
Well, and speaking of young heroes, all of our honorees met here at LPB this week to kick off Young Heroes Day. Here's a look at all the fun.
The young heroes and their families traveled around the state for Louisiana Young Heroes Day on Monday. They were honored with a certificate of appreciation from East Baton Rouge Mayor-President Sharon Weston Broome. Then they got to tour the LPB studio to see where Ziggy's Arts Adventure and Louisiana, the state we're in, are produced. The honorees also got a duffel bag full of surprises from program sponsors. Next, the group got a behind-the-scenes tour of LSU football operations. Then, it was off to the governor's mansion for lunch. They got to hear from the director of the East Baton Rouge Parish Library and got official statements from Governor Landry's office. Things wrapped up at the state capitol, where the young heroes were recognized in the House chamber then took a trip to the observation deck. You can catch all of the Young Hero stories in a 30-minute special recounting their remarkable journeys. That'll be Friday, June 14th at 8 o'clock right here on LPB.
LPB's Louisiana Young Heroes program is presented this year with the generous support of the East Baton Rouge Parish Library, the Gail and Tom Benson Charitable Foundation, with additional support from Community Coffee, the U.S. Army Baton Rouge Recruiting Battalion, Demco, McDonald's, and Origin Hotel, Baton Rouge.